What's up? Brandon Lilly here. Redoing this video because I just shot one for about 15 minutes and right at the end had a technical error. So this is frustrating, but I'm dedicated to it. So we'll get right back into it. Brandon Moore. What body types benefit more from the sumo deadlift rather than the conventional? I'm going to discourage you from thinking that one type fits any body style or any lifting style. I've learned, I used to try to put people into molds and things like that. The best thing you can do is watch a person's mechanics. What if a person that's 5'6" is a great sumo puller and you put them beside another person that's 5'6" and one has longer arms and they have a longer back? So in reality, the person with shorter arms but a shorter back, their arms hang lower. It's more beneficial. They have shorter upper leg muscles. They have shorter or upper leg bones. They have shorter lower leg bones. You really can't cram somebody into a mold. What you need to do is watch them lift and see where the breakdowns are. What I will tell you about the sumo lift is people that get it, people that are really good at sumo, they seem to almost run with it from the very first time they pull it. Within a little bit of critiquing here and there, you'll see them, they just almost have a natural gravitation towards that lift. So unless I see that, unless I see them really, really just take off with it, I don't spend a lot of time coaching them on the floor. Something that Dan Green actually gave me great advice on, and I'm using right now, is I have terrible hip flexibility in that position. So to limit the damage that I'm doing to my hips and to keep it beneficial, I'm doing sumo pulls off a 4-inch block and off a 2-inch block. And what that's actually allowed for me to do is to open up the hips, to train the sumo less painfully, and get the benefit of the sumo without having to pull off the floor in this awkward position. I'm actually in a pretty good position at those 2 points. Put me on the floor, my back gets way forward, my hips lock up. So if you're wanting the benefit of training the sumo, but you can't necessarily do it off the floor, use blocks. It's been a great tool for me. Give the credit to Dan Green for advising that to me. It's something I've done in the past, but you kind of shuffle it away and forget about it. Then somebody brings it back to the forefront, and it works. Murat Tafreshi, I hope I said your name correctly. I apologize if I didn't. Getting stronger while slowly moving up a weight class. That's kind of easy. Just up the calories a little bit, eat a little bit more on your training day, just bust your ass in the gym, and you'll get stronger as you move up. Moving down a weight class can be a little bit tricky. You'll want to adjust your carbs. You'll want to adjust eating times and what you eat on training days versus your off days. And you'll want to do it slowly. You don't want to drop a class um, immediately because your strength will plummet. You want to do it over time, gradually, pound by pound. You don't want to try to drop 2, 3, 4 pounds a week, and you'll just suffer from it. So, whatever you do in gaining weight or losing weight, along with trying to gain strength, if you do it slowly, if you do it calculated and with a proper plan, you'll be very successful with it. But just don't try to do anything overnight because that's when chaos happens. Masood Shah asked, "Am I a Viking?" You know, who knows? I'm not the pretty blue-eyed, blonde-haired Viking type, but I do have a pretty good beard. You can see what's going on there. So, there might be a drop or two of Viking blood in there somewhere, but I'm not pretty enough to be a Viking. And next question. Penny Rodden, how can I get a better arch? Mine sucks for the bench. Well, Penny, don't buy into the fact that you absolutely need an arch for the bench. Some of your better benchers in the world are flat back benchers, and I'm going to turn to the Iranian bencher that benched over 700 pounds. He's a Paralympian, has literally no leg function whatsoever. He's completely flat backed on the bench, and was able to bench over 700 pounds. Adrian Larson, similar situation. He just benched 585 at 220 pounds. And then there are guys like myself, for one reason or another, that they don't arch well. They can't arch very well. And once I admitted that I'm never going to be good at the arch, I really focused on getting stronger without it. Learning to brace my back into the bench as much as I could, learning to drive off the bench and actually build as much torque into the bench as I possibly could. And that helps. Sometimes you chase your tail by chasing things that don't work for your body. But if you're wanting to build an arch and you believe it's possible, the best thing to do is to get a foam roller and just start benching with it under your back. Learn to let your muscles relax. Warm up with it. Learn to breathe on it. Learn to relax and let those rib muscles release, the erectors release, and start with a small foam roller, work your way up in diameter. And what you'll find is over time you can build an arch. You definitely can. I mean, there are some lifters, I think Joey Smith, Brian Carroll, um, Rob Leondo, maybe just to name a few, have done this with pretty good success. So there are ways to go about it. I'm not necessarily sold that you need it. It's a way to gain some leverage, but if you can work a little bit harder and get stronger and develop the arch just a little bit, then you're doing the best of both worlds. So good luck to you in that. I hope the information I gave you helped. I hope it didn't sound like an ass in saying that you don't need to do it, or you do, but I think I think in your situation, I've watched some of your lifts. I think you're really starting to hit a groove with your strength, and it's just going to keep coming. So stay focused on your strength and work on those other things kind of as a secondary motion. Don't focus on them and let strength become second. Joseph Gross asked, what is my beard care? What products do I use? Shampoo, conditioner, and a brush. You got to love the beard so it'll love you back. Larry Brown asked, my return to bodybuilding when? I had I kind of thrown the idea out there of doing it this year, but some goals changed. I was in wraps, and now I'm training out of wraps because I have goals there, and then I'm competing this fall in wraps, and I think being as close as I am to my lifetime goals in powerlifting, and that being, there are goals beyond my immediate goals, but the goals that I have, I call them lifetime goals. Like for example, a 600-pound bench press. If I blew my shoulder out after I benched 600 pounds, um, I could still be relatively satisfied or happy with the accomplishments that I made, because 600 is a goal of mine on a long-term spectrum. Now, I hope to go beyond that, but to be this close, let's say I hurt my shoulder today, to be this close and to not get there, I think it would drive me crazy. I think I would be one of those guys that went to any length, that went to any amount of surgery, any amount of money to get back in the sport to get that number, because it would haunt me. But if I bench 600 and then I blew my shoulder out on 605 or blew a pec at something like that, I can say, you know what, I did a pretty good job. I could have that mental cutoff. So I'm really close to some of those numbers in my head that I could live with myself if something negative happened. And I would like to hit those just for peace of mind, and then maybe go back to bodybuilding. I'm not sold that that's the way it'll work. I may do 4 powerlifting meets this year as I planned, and then jump into a bodybuilding meet right after. Who knows? But what I am doing to benefit not only my powerlifting but my bodybuilding, whenever that occurs, is taking better care of myself, taking better care of my body, and trying to refine what muscle I do have, make it better, all the while losing body fat. If I can be as strong at 305 and compete at 308-pound weight class as I was at 335, then I'm walking around with roughly 10% less body weight, which is 10% less stress on my heart, 10% less stress on my knees, my joints, ligaments, things like that, and you just feel better. So in a way, I guess I am planning for that bodybuilding return whenever it happens because I'm trying to better my body. But right now I'm solely focused on powerlifting. So, you'll see me on stage one day, I promise you. I don't care if it's 40 years old or 50 years old, I'll be up there. But um, right now the goals are solely focused on powerlifting. Dan Hurley asks, should lifters in tested feds train with higher frequency volume than those in untested feds? And this is a polite way of saying, should drug lifters lift the same as drug-free users? And really, I know guys that are on drugs that any amount of volume, like let's say the volume that's on the cube, it would kill them. And I know guys that are drug-free the volume that's in the cube, it would kill him. What you need to realize is you have to adapt your body to whatever kind of goals you have. Brian Siders is a perfect example. He was an IPF world champion, drug free, and he had some of the most intense volume I've ever seen. I mean, it was amazing how long he would work out and how hard he would work out. You know, talking 2, 3, 4 hour sessions just for his upper body, and he built himself to that. I think what the problem is, so many guys go from 0 to 100. You know, a lot of guys I see on the internet like Shaco. Well, you look at Shaco, and it's like, holy shit, this is a lot of volume. But what you don't realize about the kid that's doing the Shaco program overseas in Russia is that he's been adapted from the time he was 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 years old into this program. His body is ready for that. And then you take a guy, you know, coming off, say, a 5x5 method or a West Side method or a 5-3-1 or even the cube, and then you put them onto something that's volume intensive, it's going to break them down. So let's say I squat 3 times a week this week, and it prevents me from squatting at all next week. Why is that? Would that be good? No. So what you want to start is, okay, if I can squat twice this week and it allows me to squat twice next week, then you can eventually build to the third day. You know, and you may actually get there. It's like, well, 2 days was doing really good, and then it stopped benefiting me so much, so maybe a third day will be good. And then you do 3 days a week. Or 2 days was benefiting me, now I'm just like feeling beat up, so let's go back to 1 day a week. You have to take the response that your body gives you. There's no one size fits all perfect method. There's no scientifically perfect method. I don't care if science says that this method is useful, it may not be useful for you. You know, I say this before, or I've said this before, you know, the biggest discrepancy in all of training methods is the human body. You know, look at me, I'm 315, 20 pounds. Let's say I get another 315, 20 pounder over here. I'm probably 15 to 18% body fat. Let's say they're 30 to 40% body fat. That's how a lot of methods look at it. Well, if a guy at this weight and this strength level can do something, then you should be able to do something. Well, my conditioning capacity is probably much higher than his. So how can we do the same workload? We probably can't. We probably could for a week or two, and then he's going to fade off, and I'm going to keep getting better and keep getting stronger. So you really have to focus on what you do, whether you're drug using or drug free, and you have to adapt yourself to the training method. Don't try to jump in and say, okay, this is exactly what I have to do. That may be too much. I get this all the time working with people on the cube. They're like, man, I'm feeling killed. And I say, you know what? Let's scale it back for a week or two. By week 4 or 5, you're going to feel great. Week 5, 6, 7, and 8, you're just going to flourish. But if they just push too hard too early, they burn out. And by week 5 and 6, when they really should start to see some benefit from the program, they're so beat up they can't. What good does that do? So take everything as an individual approach. Don't try to match what your training partner does. Use those things as a guide, but always, always keep your training to yourself. You know, modified around yourself. Last question, Ryan Messmer, my old training buddy from Lexington. Meat day meal plan. This is what I usually do, and I think this is beneficial. It's been adapted over the years. I've done everything from, you know, the greasy junk food to what I'm doing now, and what I'm doing now seems to have the most benefit. What I tell people is, you're already strong if you're at the meet. If you've prepared properly, you're going to be strong. So you don't want to do something to really mess that all up. You want to do something to sustain your strength all day. And for me, I do what's routine. I like to go get foods that I know digest well. They don't bother me. So at about 6:30 in the morning, saying a meet starts around 9, about 6:30 in the morning, I'll get up, go to McDonald's, have a black cup of coffee. I'll drink that down by itself. Then I'll go order a couple of bacon, egg, and cheese bagels or biscuits, have a cup of orange juice, head back to the hotel. What this does is it gives me a chance to get up, kind of get my thoughts going about the meet, settle down a little bit, because usually when I wake up I'm really anxious or nervous, and it gives me just time to calm down. Then I go back around 7:30 or 8 o'clock, 8:30, on my way to the meet. I'll eat at a Cracker Barrel or a Bob Evans, and I'll have something, you know, relatively protein based, fat based, like bacon and eggs. I'll shy away from biscuits and gravy, things like that. Um, that are going to sit really heavy. Now, if I have a biscuit, I might just put some jelly on it or something, but I shy away from anything really, really heavy. And then when I get to the meat, what I have prepared are sandwiches, whether it's peanut butter and jelly, turkey and cheese, or ham and cheese. And I always drink water. I used to drink Gatorade all day long, and by the deadlift, I would get sick. Ryan, I know you've seen me puke at meets because I've drank so much Gatorade. It throws me off. So primarily, I'll drink water. 1 to 2 gallons when I'm at the meet. I keep a Gatorade or two there just in case I do feel a little bit behind my hydration, but I don't base my hydration around Gatorade. Next, things like granola bars, grapes, fruits like apples, oranges, bananas, those things are excellent. And really, those are going to suit your body better and make you feel better than a big Wendy's triple cheeseburger or something like that. And trust me, I've done both. And I'm telling you, the lighter foods with the simple sugars, the good sugars, natural sugars, um, along with water and the good sandwiches, just something to fill you up. You don't want to be walking around, with your gut sticking out to here, bloated and feeling bad and just making yourself sweat because you eat so much. This is a day to show your athleticism, so you should eat like an athlete. So keep those things handy. Fresh fruits, granola bars are awesome. The simple sandwiches, water, Gatorade, and like if you're feeling a little sugar low, have a Snickers on hand or something like that. But something else that I've really found that was awesome was in Australia. I was eating pineapple and like carrots and celery all day and loved it. So that's what I do. I notice a lot of guys at some of the meets, they're feeling sluggish, and I looked at what they ate. They ate chocolates, they ate fast food all day, and here I've eaten fresh fruit and simple sandwiches, drank water, and by the deadlift, I'm feeling light, I'm feeling fresh, I'm feeling ready to go. So that's my advice. I'm not saying it's perfect, but I'm saying I've tried a lot of things, and that seems to be a good balance for me. So I hope this helps. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and we'll do this again. Thanks.